Let me tell you about this little badass here. Okay, this little gal here, she got a story to tell. See, Mabel and August, they fell in love, proposed. It was like, please marry me. And she's like, oh, of course, August. You're incredible. Of course I'll marry you. And then World War I happened, and he got called away to war. So she waits like a good girl, just waits for him to come home. Now the war is ending, and she's like, great, we can get married now. So she sends out a bunch of wedding invitations, and it's like, come to my wedding. And then he comes home, and she's like, you're different, because he messed up in the head. He is not the same. He's messed up. And she's like, well, shit, I just sent out all those wedding invitations. I can't undo that, so I guess we gotta get married. So this is her wedding day. She sticks it out, okay? Has 3 babies. Then he starts hitting the bottle. And she's like, I'm not doing that, August. And he said, I'm not giving up whiskey, Mabel. And she said, well, then you're giving up me. And he's like, fine. So it's the early 1940s. Somehow she has a small sum of money. Not really certain where the sum of money came from. But don't ask, don't tell. You know, girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do. So then she takes her children that are still at home and she leaves. So she goes, buys a super crappy house, like really rundown house. It's like, I guess this is where we live now, kids. Looks at my grandfather. Yeah, that's right. See my great Grammy. Looks at my grandfather and says, hey, I need you to build me a wall because your sister needs a room. And he's like, well, I've never built a wall before, but I guess I know what they look like. So he puts up a wall. And she's like, you know what? That's not that bad of a wall. Can you build me another wall? And so he does. And he builds a couple more walls. And she goes, I wonder if I can rent out these little rooms. So she runs an ad in the newspaper. She fills up all these rooms. Wall, tenant, wall, tenant, wall, tenant, wall, tenant. As soon as she gets all those rooms rented, she runs another ad in the newspaper. Profitable boarding house for sale. She makes cha-ching. She does it again. And again, and again, and again. And then my grandpa, he just keeps building walls. And she keeps renting, running these ads. Next. In the 1940s, she starts doing this as a divorcee with dependents. No career. And this is how she makes a living for the rest of her life. But before you get too sad for this man, he found himself another woman. And that woman's like, bro, you gotta give up the bottle. And he's like, I'm not gonna give up the bottle for you. I didn't give it up for Mabel. I'm not giving it up for you. And she's like, oh, honey, I understand. Waits for this man to get a little tipsy-turvy, pins him down, starts shoving just tons of whiskey down this man's throat, and says to him, you will either, by the end of the night, get so sick that you will hate whiskey forever, or you'll die from alcohol poisoning. So let's see which one. That man got sober and never touched whiskey again. And that's the story of my great-grandpa August and my great-grandmother Mabel, who was a badass.